let us be real. Terrorists are not the ones dropping bunker-busting bombs on hospitals and civilian homes in eastern Aleppo, nor are they besieging civilians there. The Assad regime and Russia are.
Power says Moscow and Syria are also responsible for the humanitarian crisis. The UN Secretary General says nearly 500 people have been killed and almost 2,000 wounded since Syria launched its offensive to rout rebels from Aleppo late last month. An estimated 71.5 million people watched the final debate between presidential candidates Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump last night. NPR TV critic Eric Degan says it was the second largest audience for a presidential debate since 1980.
Paragraph 3 or page 3?
Paragraph 3.
Page 1, number 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Page 1, third paragraph, fifth line.
Should be a comma, but.
Yeah, comma, and then because goes away. And then on page 2, under Christie's discussion, on the second line, she talked about her daughter having trisomy 21. I wanted to make sure that wasn't a typo, because I didn't catch during the meeting what her affliction. It was trisomy 21? Okay.
Yeah, she specified I remember her talking about a very specific disorder, and I don't remember what it was, but
I just didn't know it would have numerals in it, so it was just a double check to make sure spell check didn't do something atypical. Fourth paragraph under Nicole's commentation, third line, the first sentence starts, Whitting said. We need the word it in there. Those were the only Scribners I had. Anybody else have Scribners? All right. Do you have a motion?
I would just like to clarify a detail that maybe I just totally went past me. That it's in number 3 for children aged infant to pre-kindergarten. It doesn't go past pre-kindergarten.
no, I can't remember what she said.
6 to 12.
That's for the number of children.
But wasn't this place going to be able to take children past pre-kindergarten age?
I'm looking up the packet from before.
The original, yeah.
I think you're right. Well, at least I understood it to be older.
Yeah.
At least through grade school. Wasn't her daughter at McDonald? Didn't one of them have a child at McDonald?
I thought that was right. I thought it was. I think you're right.
Yeah. I think one of the ladies had a daughter that was at McDonald, which would clearly be beyond. Okay.
I don't think it matters. I mean, there's no limitation in the code, and we don't have it in the actual decision that there's a limitation on the ages.
The age, just
So
the,
it's
just
just
the quantity, the number of children.
Just the number. Not to exceed 12 children. So the proposal is described as an inclusive early childhood education program.
I was just going to say, can we just
strike that age
Yeah.
infant to pre-kindergarten and just
for
leave it
6
at
to
that.
6 to 12 children and 3
Yeah.
full-time staff?
Yeah.
All right. Now do I have a motion?
Yeah.
I have a
Move
motion
approval as amended.
as noted,
And I'll second that.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a unanimous 5. All right. Now on to the reason statement. I didn't see any Scribners, but I did want to clarify that we had talked about 3 feet on each side was the way it was striped, correct?
Yeah, that was the idea.
Okay, because it was noted that way throughout, so I just wanted to make sure.
I'll move approval.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that is a unanimous 5 ayes again. Any other board communications?
Yeah, I just had one point. I did talk to the city attorney about the board's concern at the last meeting about reopening the public hearing after it's already been closed for the Logos hearing, and I did get a written opinion from him, and I could just pass that out.
We not heard yet about whether we need to always do what we're doing right now.
So I think that was, when Becky was the staff representative, I think that you guys had discussed that and decided to meet, like we're meeting today for, the meeting to approve the minutes in the RCS after we have a hearing. And so, and just the transition of me taking over in the interim, wasn't aware that we had switched. So we'll just continue that practice that the board had done previously with meeting after the public hearing date. So,
So, if I'm reading this correct, the first sentence under discussion basically says we don't have to strictly adhere to any rules, give or take.
No, you need to adhere to the rules, but thereof, in his opinion, it shall be generally conducted. In any type of public hearing, the board has the option to reopen a public hearing should there be other, people in the audience that wanted to present testimony. Maybe the board has questions that come up along the deliberations that they need to reopen the public hearing to call somebody back up to the dais in order to.
Even if that happens the same night or a follow-up meeting.
That's the city attorney's opinion.
Okay.
And so he had said that if there's any further questions regarding his opinion, that feel free to contact him via email, and he'd be able to answer those.
So, the concern I expressed last time that we provided notice, so nobody should have been caught off guard, but we didn't reopen the public hearing until the day that it was open, and this kind of sort of issue of providing notice for a public hearing that is yet to occur. It probably wasn't a real problem, and I still think it's an issue, but the bigger problem for me, which he doesn't address, is the code specifically says that after the public hearing is closed, we're only allowed to request additional factual statements from members of the public. And that's what it says, that if there's there can be no more testimony, but we can request facts. And so this opinion seems to just sort of eliminate that provision of the code. I mean, so I'll ask Rod, but that, I mean, it clearly, that's, the code specifically says that. We can request facts from the public, and this suggests that we can just reopen the public hearing and accept whatever testimony we want.
Well, it seems like in the past when we reopened it to ask a specific person to come up and answer a question, not necessarily to open it back up and then let everybody
Right.
come up.
Well, in
So
that case, we don't even
maybe-
have to reopen it, because we're allowed to, if it's like, you know, a specific factual question, where do you live, or how far away is it, or something like that, we can do that at any time without opening the public hearing. It just seems weird that we're limited to that kind of question after the close of the public hearing, and then Rod's saying, but we could just open it whenever we wanted to. So what's the point of the limitation?
Yeah, and I encourage you to reach out via email and ask him that.
Okay.
And that's just legal advice? So that's not, there's no public meeting, or there's no, like, requirements affecting that, are there?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. That would not be subject to public records requests then, I guess is.
The email might.
Well, it's
there's-
requesting legal advice.
Well, the city attorney is the legal representative for the board, and so I would, you may check, but I would imagine that would be
attorney-client
protected
privilege.
under the,
So I would.
Electronic Communications Act.
I think so. So I'm going to ask for clarification on that if nobody has a problem with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other items? Do we have anything?
No pending
Operator?
applications.
Okay.
No.
All right, then I'll have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move
Yep.
that.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that's unanimous as well with 5.